All right, I'm just going to keep an eye on the waiting room and I'll just keep admitting people as they pop in. But I do think I want to make sure we give everybody the time they need. Sorry about that. So let's just get started. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's here. Thank you for signing up. This is the 5th year in a row we've done this. 3rd year, I think, of Zoom, right, Anne-Marie? So I'm just going to do a little introduction. I'm Caitlin Carlson. I'm the program director here at the Stearns History Museum. I've worked with Anne-Marie on this for, again, all 5 years that we've done this. I do want to thank Anne-Marie Johnson for putting all of this together once again. We do have an exhibit that the Hmong Cultural Center has lent to us that'll be here for another week. So if you get a chance to stop by at the Stearns History Museum, it is here right now, and a couple people came here because they thought the exhibit was in, or the presentation was in person, so they at least get to look at that. But I do want to introduce the series. So Exploring History and Culture in Central Minnesota is an annual February event series hosted by 4 Central Minnesota County Historical Societies: Benton, Morrison, Sherburne, and Stearns. This series seeks to foster greater understanding and awareness of cultures that have been and continue to be part of Minnesota and its history. This year's programming is presented by the Hmong Cultural Center and features 4 presentations on Saturdays in February: the 4th, the 11th, the 18th, and the 25th. And I do want to quickly acknowledge our sponsors: Sourcewell, Wingnut Tattoo, Mid-Minnesota Federal Credit Union, and Bezic Family Dentistry. And I also want to give a shout out to St. Cloud State's Hmong Student Organization. They are helping us lead our Q&A for today and the next 3 sessions. Today's specialist is Fuchi, so if you have any questions, put them in the chat, and Fuchi is going to moderate that for us at the end of the discussion. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to today's host, Mike Worcester, who is the director over at Morrison. So take it away.
Thank you, Caitlin. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Worcester, and I am the director at the Morrison County Historical Society. This is my first time doing the February event series. I'm still fairly new here at MCHS, so this is really a thrill for me also. And I just want to, again, acknowledge our sponsors. Thank you so much to everybody who is helping to make this happen and bring these cultural and educational enrichment and engagement activities to Central Minnesota. It's a fantastic cooperative effort, and we're very happy to be a part of it here at Morrison County. And I am going to, before I introduce today's speakers, turn it over to our museum manager, Grace Duxbury, who's going to do the technical necessities for today. So Grace, go ahead, take it away.
Right, so the controls for Zoom, if you're not familiar with them, are relatively easy. So to access all these controls, you're going to have to move your mouse, and at the bottom of the screen, you'll notice there's a mute or unmute button, stop or start video. Those are probably disabled for most people here, but it's an option. Otherwise, the chat button, if you click that, that will open the chat room, which is where we ask if anyone has any questions or comments to put those in there, and we'll get to those. Next is if anyone is interested in captions, Zoom has the ability to auto transcribe what we're speaking into captions. All you have to do for that is click the show captions button, and it should start that out for you. Next is reactions, and if you want to do a thumbs up or clap or anything like that, you can do that as well. And if anyone has any questions at any time, again, whether it's about the program or the technical side of it, just put that in the chat and we'll be keeping an eye on that.
Awesome. Thank you, Grace, so much. So I'm going to turn it over now to our 2 primary guests today who are with the Hmong Cultural Center and Museum in St. Paul. I'd like to bring to the screen Zhengpao Li and Dr. Mark Pfeiffer. Gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you, Mike. And I'm happy to talk today with the group. So Mark and myself, we will present and answer any question that you have or anyone have, okay?
Yes, thank you, Mike, and everybody for having us today from the Hmong Cultural Center in St. Paul. We do have a storefront museum, and if you're ever in the area, just about 3 or 4 blocks from the Capitol on University Avenue, so feel free to stop by. Obviously, there's a lot more on display there than we can talk about in these presentations. So I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint. And I am Director of Programs at the Culture Center, and John Powell is the Executive Director. All right, let's do the share screen here. All right, can everybody see? All right, I'm going to assume that's a yes. So we are going to get going here. Well, today our main focus is Hmong weddings and funerals. However, we thought it'd be a good idea to do a little bit of the introductory information, and we might scatter this out throughout the other presentations as well, just at the very beginning to cover a little bit more that we would typically cover, because we think we might get some other questions, as we go along here. So we're going to start, before we get into weddings and funerals, a little bit on where Hmong live around the world and in the United States and Minnesota. So this slide does talk about the Hmong population around the world. And the largest Hmong population is in China, and it's going to be more than 4.5 million Hmong in China. And sometimes there is some confusion because the government of China, it puts the Hmong in this broader category, the MIAO, the Miao, and there are 3 other major ethnic groups in the Miao category. So sometimes you might hear there's 10 million Hmong in China, and actually those scholars from China, they're probably just translating Miao as Hmong, and that is not exactly accurate. So there might be 10 million Miao in China, but only 4.5 million of them are Hmong, okay? And then we've got Vietnam, over 1 million Hmong in Vietnam, Laos, at least 450,000. Then we get Thailand, about 150,000. And there's a small Hmong community in Burma, it's also called Myanmar. Now, the United States, we are above 300,000 now, and that's in the entire United States. I've seen some more recent data. The 2021 American Community Survey just came out, and that is it's more than 320,000 in there. I think it's actually higher than that. And then we do have France would be next in the Western countries, 15,000, and some very small Hmong communities in Australia, Canada, French Guiana, which is in South America, Argentina, New Zealand, and Germany. Now, this map does show where Hmong live in China. This is sort of the historic home of the Hmong. I mean, at least going back 5,000 years, Hmong have been in China. So today, the Hmong are going to be in the southwest area of China, and that's the Guizhou and Yunnan provinces. So that's going to be the southwest area of China. You see on there the pink and the green, Yunnan and Guizhou. Those are the definitely the biggest Hmong communities in China. Now, this map here does show what you might call the Hmong belt in China and Southeast Asia. So within the box is where the largest Hmong populations are, in fact, where most of the Hmong are in Asia. So Hmong do not have a country. They do not have even a state within any of those countries. They're a minority community in all those countries, but it's going to be, again, Southwest China, central to northern Vietnam, primarily northern Vietnam, but Hmong have been moving further down into the Central Highlands in recent years. And we have central to northern Laos, central to northern Thailand, and then on the area in Myanmar or Burma, near the borders with these other countries, is where the Hmong community would be in Burma. Now, within the United States, again, I mentioned more than 300,000 Hmong in the US. And then these top 20 populations, I'm not going to cover everything here. California, it does have the most Hmong. It's over 100,000. And Minnesota is over 90,000. And we've seen some more recent data. We still have not had the official 2020 census figures come out. But based on the American Community Survey, that's what we have. So Minnesota is going to be about 90,000, California 100,000, Wisconsin 56,000, North Carolina 15,000. Sorry, I didn't catch those. Not everything's aligned there. I didn't catch that when we put this together. Sorry about that. Okay, and then Minnesota. So this is 2010 census. We have not seen data. The American Community Survey does not go into that level of detail in terms of the city. So we haven't seen data for more than 10 years. But St. Paul definitely has the largest Hmong population of any city in Minnesota. In fact, in the United States, it's probably between 35 and 40,000 now. And then Minneapolis, but Minneapolis has been in decline for a while among population there. And then in the West Metro, Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, and then some of those East Metro suburbs, and even some of those further away suburbs within the metro area, Blaine, Cottage Grove, Coon Rapids, growing Hmong communities. And outstate Minnesota, the largest Hmong populations are going to be in Western Minnesota. That's Tracy, Marshall, Walnut Grove. And then there are Hmong communities in Rochester, Winona, Duluth, St. Cloud, and Tellers Falls. Okay, so we're now going to get into the topic at hand for this morning, and that's Hmong weddings and funerals. And I'm going to turn it over to Jean-Paul.
Good morning. Usually Mark and I represent, I like Mark to share the number of the Hmong population around the world. So myself, I'm speaking about relating to Hmong belief and marriage and other war-torn countries that why we flee from Laos to other countries. So yes, please, if you have any question, I will answer close to the end. In Hmong culture, Hmong community, for many thousand years, we have been recognized the young Hmong couple who marry. In order for the respect and completely for the wedding for those two younger, is the both parents, they will have duties to take responsible what they're gonna plan for their two newly wedding. Let me take back a little bit. And Hmong weddings totally different from what every day the younger Hmong and other mainstream culture have their wedding. In our culture, if a young boy or young man and young girl or woman, they want to marry, they will talk to one another, they love each other, they want to have commitment that they will stay for the rest of their life, to stay together. That's what's the most important for our girl. Because our parents, we love our girl. If she married and she just loved the husband, and the husband don't love the girl, then that's been die in a row. It's gonna be more problem come up to the girl. So that's why we need to have a proper marriage ceremony. That means after the girl and the boy, they move into the boy's family. And the boy family, they need to have someone to have the messenger or carry the messenger to the girl parents that as the moment like today, your daughter moving to stay without son, that's my son or our son has been married. So those two men will tell their girl's parents. So they're not worried about it. Right now, she has a place to stay. And 3 days later, or a week later in the United States, the parents that will coordinate how they and what day, what month they're gonna planning to have their wedding ceremony. So they'll have the date and month set, and both parents, they will have in the green Hmong, they have one, each family to represent the family. And in the white Hmong, we have two represent each family. Those are the two who will witness that these young men are married legally in the Hmong traditional ceremony. So after the marriage, both parents, they will recognize that they were married, and the man parents side, they will call the newly woman move into their family, that's their daughter-in-law. And the girl's mom and that side, they will recognize the man is their son-in-law after the wedding ceremony. So the processing in the wedding ceremony, the groom, the best man, the bride, and the maid. So they will have 4 persons plus the 2 we call Mekong or representation of the family. So in the young couple family side, when they go to do a wedding in their in-law, the girl's mom, they need to have 5 and 6 people to go along. So for the girl's side, they have 2 Mekong ready inside the house to welcome the couple and the whole team from the groom's side. So it will take like overnight for the ceremony to prepare. And the next day, they're gonna have a big ceremony that will have food, drink, everything. So this ceremony, it takes time, more like weeks to prepare. But the parents already knew that the wedding is coming up, so they already prepare everything. So that's the processing. After the weddings complete with the in-law, more like the girl's family side, they return home. And the groom family side, they will have a formal ceremony, welcome the girl as the in-law to the house. So they have a big event after from the girl's side, come back to the boy's side. They have a big event overnight because they return home in gonna be in the evening time, the same day during the wedding ceremony. And it will take to midnight to complete everything. So that is what a wedding ceremony. But besides that, Hmong culture, the parents, both parents, we have duty to prepare for our son and daughter wedding ceremony. For the son, in the Hmong community as today, in the state of Minnesota, we have set up for a dowry, a gift to the girl family or parents, limit 5,000. And that is what we always asking. And there is some additional cost for preparing the food and to a gift for other, it might cost up to 7,000 for the whole wedding ceremony. So that's what in our culture. But however, from the girl side, if mom and dad, they not give anything to their daughter to starting her new life, that means in her in-law side, but thinking that she coming from the poor family. Poor family does mean they will treat our daughter or their daughter differently from other in-law. So in our culture and our parents, we need to prepare for our daughter. For example, my daughter, I help them, they finish their 4-year degree in college and they marry. We collect the 5,000. It's not really something that can help us, but we give something to our daughter, like more than 30,000 to support our daughter, give car, clothing, everything that she will need to start a new life. Place, spoon, blanket, pillow, everything. And that's just only from the parents' side, only from the group, the girl's side. But they have family members who contribute to help our daughter to start her new life. So that is what the duties of both parents, the groom or the boy's parent. They have the duty that they need to prepare at least 10,000 for the wedding ceremony. And the girl's side, they need to prepare at least 10,000 set aside that they're gonna give to their daughter to starting her new life in order for her to earn the respect from her in-law and her in-law family side. So that is what our wedding ceremony and the wedding to our son and daughter. That's what our parents need to prepare for. I forgot about, we have the first slide that in the Hmong community in the state of Minnesota or in the United States, we have 18 clans out there. 18 clans. But you see the number 17 because we don't allow our son and daughter who has the same last name to marry one another. So that's one of the reasons. We don't know what happened, but to our elderly told we don't want the young couple who have the same last name to marry each other. We respect that there was daughter, there will be brother or sister. So we need to respect that. So either he or she have 17 clans out there to marry. So that is what we always tell our son and daughter to find a loved one, not within the same clan. So the wedding ceremony is not like after marriage and just only the young couple who join together, live together, and they do whatever together. In our culture, after we marrying just not the couple only, the whole clan will be part of the family. And we will love each other, enjoy with each other. So that is what we always say to our young couple that you marry. You need to marry, stay together the rest of your life. If things happening, the young couple die in a row, like 10, 20 years, they end up divorced from one another. Then that's mean the problem, both parents, they will get involved in. Because in our culture, the court is the system that have the right to give or to find out who's fast create and who's creating this mess for this problem. But in our culture, we consider that if the man who married our daughter, they stay together, they have children together, they work hard together, and who created the problem? If the husband created the problem in our community and our culture, we really want the husband to walk away without taking anything from the house. Everything needs to be belonging to the wife in the house. But if the wife creating the problem and she refuses to marry and to stay with the husband, then she needs to just walk out, take whatever clothes belong to her only, and leaving everything, the kid, to the husband. So that's in our culture and the way the wedding ceremony, they both promise that they will stay together. So that's the problem. So in our culture, for many hundred years, when we in the old country and we in the United States before 2000, I see just a few Hmong couple who end up divorced from one another. But after 2000, I see quite a few Hmong couple who end up divorced from another. So that is in this country, many young Hmong who educate and they're doing successfully after they marry and they're doing forward. But if the couple who end up divorcing from one another, then many parents, both sides, they mediate the couple, ask them to stay together, live and love each other. If both end up not love each other and they want to divide their family and they go away from each other, then the parents cannot stop. Both they need to go to the court system. So the court will decide who get what. So that is what the court system will do it. But in terms of the parents, we always want both to stay together, love their kid, love their family. So both bigger parents and both clans, they can share the beautiful and the happiness of those couples. So that is what our cultural ceremony is about. And the young couple marry, we always wishing them to stay together and do their best. All right. Any question, I will answer to the end. And I have many questions. Talk about why the groom pay 5,000. That is not more like buying their daughter, but just a gift to the parents that thanks for you take good care of your daughter. And today I love her. I marry her. I'm gonna take her away from you. So I want to give you the 5,000. You can spend whatever you want, buy for, because I take her and no one help you. So that's what the 5,000 is about it. So we can move on to the funeral. The funeral in the United States, thanks that we have some individual out there, they have creating the funeral ceremony or the funeral home that in the Twin City here, we have over 50,000 Hmong in Minnesota. We use 5 funeral home in the Twin City here. So it's totally different from the old country. In the old country, we do prepare and do funeral at our house. If there's someone die in a family member, we just prepare and do it inside our house. But in the United States, everything has been changed. So we prepare, we have someone die, and we're gonna take their body to do a traditional funeral ceremony in the funeral home. So in the United States, before the COVID-19, it lasts 4 days or 3 days. It depends on the family, how they prepare and what do they want, the funeral run, how many days. But as after the COVID-19, many family, many things we have been cut and shortened. So as today or every day I see, because we have the thank group here, I go and take the group to perform and helping the other thank instructor to help them. So it takes them like 2 days. The most is 2 days. 2 days does mean Sunday they do the whole day and overnight, and Monday they just bury. And some other family, if they have their loved one, more like their parents, very old, 90 years old, 90 or 80, 90 years old, they want to prepare, do this whole ceremony over a weekend, more like Saturday and Sunday, Monday, bury. But first of all, in our traditional belief, we consider that before we born, we have someone sending our spirit, and we born, become a human being. And when we small grow up and die, we need someone to telling and sending our spirit back to where we were before we born, because we believe that someone had been sending us and we born and they're waiting back home. And when we die, we need to send our spirit back to who sending us to born as a human. So the first day, they're gonna be preparing. The family were inviting someone we call the the teller. The teller does mean they will come and telling the spirit to go place to place and go back to where we born. Because in our culture, we believe that the placenta when we born, that is what the clothes we wear. And to born, being a baby and reach to our new mom and dad, they will give up a new clothes to replace in the placenta. So when we die, we need to go back, and the tailor will tell us to where we born and get the placenta, more like old clothes, and put it back, and to get our way to the ancestor. That's what we always say. So that's what in our traditional, in the proper funeral ceremony, we have to do that. Otherwise, if we not do a proper funeral ceremony, many things happening. It's gonna be more like ghosts coming back and asking for help because they cannot find their way to go back to where he or she come from. So that is what the most typical that wedding and funeral ceremony, we need to treat almost the same. Wedding is someone who we need to help support, so they gonna doing better in the future. But dying, we need to send and the spirit back to where he or she came from. In the cultural ceremony, we have the thing player, because in our culture, the music thing is the thing that can tell exactly like we speaking to each other while we are alive and tell them what to do. So the musical instrument is the music that will communicate with the spirit and send the spirit back. So in our culture, we believe 3 spirits, one will go straight to where we came from, the other will go the connection to other animal. In our culture, 300 times that we connection to 300 different species on earth here. After that, there will reincarnation, reborn again. And the third one will go to stay with the body in the grave. So that is what in our culture that we have to do it proper. So that is what we're doing in the traditional. But in the Hmong Christian, I've been in many Hmong Christians funeral ceremony. It's do similar to other funeral that Christian, but they're not using thing or the teller or anyone that who will help guiding the spirit back to where he or she came from. So they have the pastor and the setup group that will helping the family to coordinate. So invite the pastor come in and talk to the family and run the funeral ceremony. So that is what the traditional Hmong and the Hmong Christian. So I talk more about the traditional Hmong. That we will require more people from the 18 clans to help. So that is what we're doing in the United States as today. But in the old country, they're still doing the funeral in individual house. If they have a loved one die in their family, so they're gonna use that house to prepare for the funeral ceremony. So that's what they're doing. So any question or anything that I can? I knew that time is very short, so it takes a lot of time to explain so people can understand. All right, I saw AC, it's difficult to understand, okay? I understand when I'm speaking, or what is it? The first one.
I have a question. How is the bride's price assessed from the families? Is it just standardized? Can it be more than 5,000, or how does that work?
Well, in the state of Minnesota, majority of the Hmong community who live in Minnesota, we follow the 18 clans council that while during the time the Wing Pao still alive. And the whole 18 clans, they sit together and they creating a system that in the state of Minnesota, they respect Wing Pao and the 18 clan. They just use that law that created by Wing Pao and the 18 clans. 8 or 5,000 is the limit for the dowry that the groom give it to the parents, the bride's parents. And some other addition that is food and other more like parents, both parents, and then grandma and grandpa, if they're still alive, if they were deceased, then they don't need to collect that 100 each. Then total it might add up to like 6,700 total. So 7,000, that's the average. So that is not more like we ask the parents, we're gonna say, our daughter, that's what we want from the groom side. So that is depend on some parents. Some parents, they want to more like, I don't want to collect anything from the groom, as long as they both are love each other and stay together. But many things that our parents, as parents, we want to collect the dowry 5,000 to in respect that our daughter have a value. So the groom or the man's side parents, they need to respect that. Yes, the daughter is very important. So that's why some parents, they love their daughter, they shouldn't collect anything, but they want to collect because of they want the groom parents to respect. Mana, you can expand more because you are part of the Hmong community and Hmong. I don't know if you experience or not. So please expand too, because I believe that the participant here more women. Okay.
Laura had a question about does the family of the deceased have to feed all of the mourners? It seems like a lot.
Yes, a lot. You cannot believe it. In our culture, we have more like 2, 3 very important. One is the family relative. The second is the wife, brother. The third is the husband's sister. If the son, if for example, if the mom died, if son and daughter, they're not mourning their mom, love their mom, the son and daughter will face, and these 3 persons will come in and criticize why your mom have you here? Your mom died. She will be gone forever. None of you mourn, love her. So that's what you will see in the Hmong community. If we have someone who elderly mom or dad died, though the children and grandchildren, they all will mourn, love, and miss their elderly for long times. They cannot find their mom and dad in anywhere in the world here. So that's what the mourning.
There was one other question I saw that Mao had. Do you know of what are some of the common causes of divorce in Hmong culture?
Thank you for asking that. The causes for divorcing in our traditional divorce or separate those couple more likely in our traditional. After the girl married to the stay with the husband side, everything they make is belong to the husband side. However, if both cannot stay together, they will end up divided equally. If both falls to one another, but it's one just denying anything or more like they don't want to marry, one are the only, then that person just walk out and leaving everything back to the person who will take care of their family, the children. So that is what in our traditional divorce from one another. And that is what we're doing. However, it depends on the couple too. If they agree that they want to divide equally, then they can do it. If they say, well, if you don't love me, you feel free to walk away and do not return. So one can stay with the children, and whatever they make is belong to the one who stay with the children and in the house.
Thank you. And then we had one more question from Camille, who was wondering if any of your traditions in Hmong culture have changed or adapted all since settling in Minnesota specifically, but other places too.
Well, many things has been changing to what I see in the Hmong community for many years since I came to the United States. Many of our parents, we don't want to see our son and daughter marry outside the Hmong community. But up to now, I see many parents, we were open to our son and daughter to marry outside Hmong community. The only thing is, like I mentioned earlier, as girl parents, we always protecting and worry about our daughter's life. If she marry within Hmong community or outside Hmong community, as long as they love each other and stay together for the rest of their life. So that's what, as a parent, we're wishing to see our daughter doing well, so we can rely on the daughter and the daughter can support mom and dad. So that's what we see. And totally has been changing and adapting to a new culture and new place.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other questions for Shang Pao today? Okay. Mike, did you want to wrap it up, or do you want me to do that?
No, that's fine. I can do that. Barring any final questions, I just wanted to thank our presenters today and thank everybody for being a part of this first of the 4 of the February event series for 2023. We're thrilled to have the Hmong Cultural Center working with us this year, and we look forward to seeing everybody next weekend on February 11th.
All right, thank you, Mike, and thank you. And we look forward to see you guys next week.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.